After nearly a decade on the sidelines, Boeing is poised for a dramatic return to China, a market that was once its fastest-growing and most lucrative. The American aerospace giant has faced years of uncertainty, with its planes grounded and orders frozen amid escalating trade tensions and safety concerns. Now, the prospect of Boeing re-entering the Chinese market marks a pivotal moment, not just for the company, but for the entire global aviation industry. Reports are swirling about a potential blockbuster order for up to 500 jets from Chinese airlines, a deal that could be worth tens of billions of dollars and would instantly make Boeing a major player in China once again. For Chinese carriers, this order would help modernize their fleets and meet the surging demand for air travel as the country's economy rebounds. But this isn't just a business deal, it's a powerful signal that US-China economic relations may be thawing after years of tension, tariffs, and trade disputes. The aviation sector has often been a barometer for the health of international relations, and a deal of this scale suggests a willingness on both sides to rebuild trust and cooperation. The timing couldn't be more strategic. This announcement comes as President Trump and President Xi meet at a high-profile international summit, where the world's attention is focused on their every move. The deal is as much about diplomacy and signaling goodwill as it is about commerce, showing that both nations are open to finding common ground. For Boeing, which has been locked out of China since the trade wars began, this deal could be nothing short of a lifeline. The company has struggled with production setbacks, safety scandals, and fierce competition from Airbus. Regaining access to the Chinese market could restore lost market share, boost investor confidence, and help secure thousands of American jobs tied to the aerospace supply chain. The order is headline news not just because of its size, but because it touches on so many critical issues: global trade, geopolitics, and the resilience of a storied American company. It's a reminder of how interconnected the world's economies have become, and how a single deal can ripple across continents. As the world watches the Trump-Xi summit unfold, the fate of this Boeing deal could reshape not only the future of global aviation, but also the broader economic partnership between the US and China. The stakes are high, and the outcome could set the tone for international business in the years to come. Boeing's exclusion from China began around 2018, as trade tensions between the world's two largest economies escalated to new heights. What started as a series of tariffs and diplomatic standoffs quickly evolved into a full-blown freeze on one of the most important commercial relationships in aviation history. Chinese airlines, under direct government direction, abruptly halted major purchases from the American giant. This wasn't just a business decision, it was a clear signal of shifting priorities and a new era of economic rivalry. Before this freeze, China had been Boeing's fastest-growing market by far. The country's insatiable demand for air travel fueled thousands of American jobs, from engineers and factory workers to suppliers across the nation. Boeing's fortunes were closely tied to China's rapid economic ascent, and every new order meant more prosperity for both sides. The sudden halt was a severe blow, forcing Boeing to scramble for alternatives, as European rival Airbus stepped in almost overnight. Airbus quickly captured market share, delivering jets to Chinese airlines and expanding its footprint in a market once dominated by Boeing. This wasn't a slow decline, it was a near-total shutdown, fundamentally altering the global aviation landscape. Routes shifted, production lines slowed, and the ripple effects were felt in communities and industries far beyond Boeing's own factories. The freeze created deep uncertainty throughout Boeing's vast supply chain. Suppliers faced layoffs, investments were put on hold, and the company was forced into a strategic rethink, questioning long-held assumptions about global trade and partnership. Projections for key models like the 737 MAX had to be slashed, and the company learned firsthand how quickly politics can derail even the most profitable partnerships. The loss of the Chinese market was a wake-up call, exposing vulnerabilities that had been hidden during years of growth. That's why a new deal isn't just a recovery, it's a strategic reset for Boeing, a chance to rebuild trust, restore lost opportunities, and redefine its place in a rapidly changing global industry. Boeing's China troubles weren't about aircraft quality, they were about politics. Experts agree, the freeze-out was a direct result of US-China trade tensions, not technical issues. The Made in America label became a liability as Beijing used aircraft orders as leverage in broader negotiations. Even as Boeing's planes flew safely worldwide, Chinese airlines were told to hold off on purchases. Internal crises like the 737 MAX groundings made things worse, but the commercial blockade was already in place. Boeing's CEO credits recent diplomatic efforts for opening the door to a potential breakthrough. In China, commercial success depends as much on political climate as on product specs. This deal's fate will be decided as much in Washington and Beijing as in Boeing's factories. The numbers tell the story. Before 2018, Boeing sold over 1,000 jets to China, 1 in 4 of its planes. After the trade war, sales collapsed by over 95%, with just 49 jets sold, mostly to non-mainland carriers or leasing firms. The loss of direct orders from major Chinese airlines gutted Boeing's growth prospects and order backlog. Forced to rely on other markets, Boeing's financial forecasts were upended, contributing to years of instability. This wasn't a market shift. It was a politically imposed barrier that halted a thriving relationship. The difference between 1,000 jets in one decade and fewer than 50 in the next shows the true cost of geopolitical friction. That's why a 500-jet order now would be nothing short of transformative. Boeing's financial woes are stark, a $5 billion operating loss in Q3 2025 and $47 billion in losses since 2019. Production delays, especially with the 777X, have been costly, pushing deliveries years behind schedule and straining resources. Across its commercial division, Boeing has faced quality issues, supply chain snags, and slow deliveries. Each undelivered plane means lost revenue. The company's balance sheet is weakened, limiting its ability to innovate and compete. A massive China order would be more than good news. It would inject cash, stabilize production, and restore confidence. It could offset losses from delayed programs and provide the resources needed to fix ongoing challenges. For Boeing, this deal could be the turning point it desperately needs. The stakes couldn't be higher. China's demand for air travel is exploding, with Boeing projecting the need for 9,000 new jets over the next 20 years. This makes China the world's largest aviation market, too big for any one manufacturer to supply alone. While Airbus has capitalized on Boeing's absence, Chinese airlines need both suppliers to meet their ambitious growth targets. A Boeing deal gives Chinese carriers access to advanced, fuel-efficient planes like the 737 MAX and 787 Dreamliner. Diversifying fleets helps airlines optimize routes, control costs, and reduce environmental impact. For China, building a world-class aviation ecosystem means tapping into the capacity of both Boeing and Airbus. The potential deal is a pragmatic move to power China's aviation future. Analysts are eager to know how much of the 500-jet order is truly new business. Some orders may have been quietly booked in recent years and only now revealed, but most experts believe the majority are fresh commitments. This signals a real reopening of the market, not just a reshuffling of old deals. The order will likely include a mix of 737 MAX narrowbodies for domestic routes and 787 Dreamliners for international expansion. The aircraft mix will reveal Chinese airlines' strategic priorities: domestic growth or global reach. Delivery timelines and pricing will be crucial, with the total value still in the tens of billions. This could be one of the largest, most politically significant aircraft deals in history. This Boeing deal is more than a business win, it's a diplomatic breakthrough. It signals a rare moment of alignment between two of the world's largest economies, whose relationship has often been defined by rivalry and suspicion. The agreement demonstrates that even in an era of heightened tensions, both sides can find common ground when mutual interests are at stake. It could mark the biggest positive shift in US-China trade relations in a decade, showing that cooperation is possible even amid deep disagreements. For years, trade talks have stalled over issues like tariffs, intellectual property, and market access. This deal, however, offers a blueprint for how both nations might move forward, by focusing on shared economic benefits rather than zero-sum competition. The ripple effect would support thousands of American jobs across Boeing's vast supply chain, making a strong case for stable trade ties. From engineers and machinists to small business suppliers in dozens of states, the impact would be felt far beyond the factory floor. It's a reminder that global deals can have very real local consequences for families and communities. Success here could set a precedent for resolving other disputes, from agriculture to technology. If both sides can build trust through this agreement, it may open the door to further negotiations on issues that have long been sources of friction, such as access to each other's markets and fair competition in emerging industries. The deal could become a cornerstone for broader stabilization, encouraging pragmatic solutions over punitive measures. It sends a message to the world that dialogue and compromise are still possible, even between rivals. This could inspire other countries to pursue diplomacy over confrontation in their own disputes. Still, it won't erase fundamental tensions over security, human rights, or global influence. Deep-seated mistrust and strategic competition remain, and flashpoints could easily reignite old hostilities. The path forward will require patience, vigilance, and a willingness to keep talking even when progress is slow. This is a major step forward, but just one in a long journey. The future of US-China relations will depend on whether both sides can build on this momentum and address the underlying issues that continue to divide them. The world will be watching to see if it sparks lasting cooperation or just a temporary truce. In the coming months, every move will be scrutinized as leaders, businesses, and ordinary people hope for a new era of stability and partnership between these two global powers. If finalized, the Boeing-China deal will reshape global aviation. For Boeing, it's a chance to shift from crisis management to growth, ramping up production and regaining lost ground. For China, it means faster fleet expansion and more leverage in future negotiations. The renewed Boeing-Airbus rivalry will drive innovation, benefiting airlines and passengers worldwide. The deal underscores the power of economic cooperation, even amid political friction. As Boeing jets return to China, it's more than a sale. It's a symbol of renewed global connection. The future of aviation and US-China relations may hinge on deals like this.